I was born sandwiched between my brother and my sister. So each year on our birthday, I call and thank them for the brain damage. You can laugh. You cowards. Yeah, so that'd make me a triplet. People always want to know what my disability is. Sometimes they ask about it in really funny ways. Like, they can be really direct. Like, the other day I went to a new osteopath. Now, if you don't know what an osteopath is, it's like a physiotherapist, but they do the exercises for you. But anyway, I walked into this new osteo and there was a woman already sitting there. There was like a kind of little waiting area. And I walked in and this woman looked at me and she immediately said, "What's wrong with your leg?" And I was like, "Oh." And then I thought for a second. I was like, hang on, she's there too. So what's wrong with her? So I started to think of every question that I'd ever been asked. I was like, oh, were you born that way? I started to get a bit of a rush. Like, I think I understood for the first time in my life what it was like to be non-disabled. I started asking her more questions. I was like, can you drive? Do you live at home with your parents? Can you have sex? Anyway, I didn't do any of that because I'm not non-disabled. And yeah, it turned out there was no waiting area and she's my new osteo. But growing up, people always wanted to know the same two things about what it was like to be a triplet. The first thing people always want to know about us is, were we conceived via IVF? I think it's really gross that they always want to know about the sex lives of our parents. But the answer is they were both really fertile and we ruined their lives. The other question I always get is, are the other two disabled as well? And the answer to that one is no, just me. I'm the lucky one. Thank you. Even more lucky for me, I have an identical twin sister. So growing up, it was like looking at everything I couldn't do. The more scared you are, the stronger I get. Thank you. But yeah, she was really good at sport growing up. Like, she got ribbons in swimming. She represented in volleyball. She got soccer trophies. The only thing I ever got was a participation award in riding for the disabled. Yeah, that's a niche joke for the cripples. And they're not in here because it's inaccessible. Yeah, I'm not scared. I'm choosing violence. But despite our very obvious sporting differences, we still looked alike, and this caused a lot of confusion growing up. Like, when I was a teenager, I had to have surgery and I had to use crutches while I recovered from that surgery. And one day I was out with my dad and this guy comes over to us and he looks at me and he's like, "What happened to you?" And I was like, "Oh, I just had this plate removed from my leg." He's like, "What? What do you mean?" I was like, "Yeah, they just took it out and now I have to get around on these for a few weeks." I didn't think anything of it and I just left the conversation. He turns to my dad and he's like, "Didn't I see her at volleyball last night?" When we were even younger, when we were 3 years old, I got my first enemy, a kid named Neil Figgenbaum. Because the thing about Neil was he used to love to push me over. It was his favourite thing to do because I fell really easily. And one day he tried to push me over and I didn't fall. So he tried again, he pushed me even harder and I still didn't fall. And before he could work out what had happened, my twin sister pushed him so hard that he cried. And I thought, this is a really great opportunity for me. So going forward, whenever I was picked on in primary school and high school, I would tell the bully to wait for me after school. And yeah, I'd send my sister. I'd even start picking fights. And she became so good at fighting, thanks to me, that in 2019 she became judo world champion. And yeah, she's actually here tonight. So if anyone does want to heckle me, good luck. I've been learning to walk my whole life, and I've got to level with you. It's really difficult, hey? Like every time I think I've got it down, I take another trip. But it's okay, I like to even it out. Every time I trip on the footpath, I like to trip on acid or mushies. Tonight I'm on acid. I love, can I say, I've realised, I've been a cripple my whole life, and I've realised we kind of, us cripples, we represent your biggest fear. Like, I think it's why we haven't addressed accessibility properly, because we remind you that your time will come. Because we are the only group with an open membership. Like, you can join at any time. And some of you will join soon. It's for this reason that I love to go to health food stores or bulk food stores. I used to live in Byron Bay and there's heaps of them up that way. And I love to walk into those kinds of shops because as soon as you walk in, you get this hit of this scent that lingers and permeates throughout the store. I think it's called death anxiety. And I love to just watch people as they're picking up their multivitamins or their bulk foods. Sometimes I'll bump into them a little bit, just to give them that visual reminder of the thing they fear most, their own mortality. If I'm feeling especially game, I'll lean over someone as they pick something up and I'll just say, oh, I've been trying that one for 15 years. Fingers crossed. I'm just going to leave you on this. I think Dylan Alcott does too much. I'm not scared. For those of you who don't know who Dylan Alcott is, Dylan is or was a dual Paralympian. He represented Australia in 2 sports, wheelchair basketball and wheelchair tennis. He's won Paralympic medals. He's won the Golden Slam. He has a super hot non-disabled sexologist girlfriend, proving disabled people can have sex, just not with Dylan Alcott. No, just kidding. We did fuck and that's why he's in a wheelchair.